Welcome back, everyone, to the best podcast in New York. This episode of the Assassin Cast is for the week of July 1st, 2018. I'm Jeremy Malaspina, accompanied by the one and only Dan McCarthy.
What's good?
And in this episode, we're going to be discussing the following topics. First off, we're going to be talking Luke Cage Season 2. This is an update. We talked the series as a whole and its similarities to the comics, which is really cool because I've actually been watching it, so it's gonna be an interesting topic. We're also going to be discussing Samuel L. Jackson and the upcoming Captain Marvel movie. It seems they're using some technology to de-age himself because it takes place 25 years ago. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in depth. We're also going to be talking about reboots and sequels. There's been a lot lately. Me and Dan fucking hate them. But apparently Skyscraper with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is one of the only movies in the recent lineup that's not either. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about the plot, I guess, and their trailer, but we're going to talk based on that reboot shit. And then, unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about Steve Ditko. He is the co-creator of Spiderman, Doctor Strange, and other Marvel characters. He is dead at the age of 90. So we're going to talk what he meant to Marvel and the characters we love today. And, it hurts us all deeply here at the Assassin.
He got a good 90, though. It ain't like he died at 40. That guy had a good life.
Right. So we'll talk more about Steve Ditko and give him some props that he deserves. And that's what's going on in the movies. And then later on in gaming, we're going to talk Castlevania Netflix series is coming back for Season 2 this October. We discussed the series and how it's well received, which we didn't really get to talk about the first season of Castlevania because the podcast wasn't around back then. So we'll talk about that. And then we're also going to get in Resident Evil 2 Remake. Once again, the producers talk about new areas and zombies in this Game Informer article. So we're going to discuss that and what it means to the remake. And we found out an interesting fact on the NES Classic Edition, with it being hacked. And we'll go into what that is when we get to that gaming portion of this week's Assassin Cast. And the last topic, then, that you had added.
I could go over it, too. I'm going to go over a bunch of games that are popping out this week. We got a few that actually tweaked me a little bit.
Right.
But we'll see. We don't know what they're going to... Like I said, you know me, everybody that listens, I'm already caught up and when the new Madden and everything starts dropping. But you got some games that can fill our void if we want a little bit.
Right. So Dan's going to bring up, I think, 2 games you mentioned to me, maybe another one on what's popping with Microsoft. So we'll get into that as well. So as for news, we've been having audio issues. So for the last 2 podcasts, I apologize greatly because I realized halfway through the week last week that the audio version for this is Assassin Cast number 18. Shit, I don't even really remember. I'm pretty sure this is Assassin Cast number 18, and 16 and 17. They both got cut off towards the end or middle. There was a portion of the middle missing in 16, and then the end was cut off on 17 for our Podbean listeners. So we apologize greatly. We've been having technical difficulties these last 2 podcasts, which we're straightening out as we speak. So we apologize. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
We're getting a lot of listeners lately, so I felt bad that happened. That's really news on the podcast. You want to tell them what's going on in your world real quick before we get started?
They all know my world. It's working and it's fishing. Ironically, I laugh because I'll get more into it when we get to the topics. I have been playing on my emulator. I was playing Castlevania.
Oh,
I could
nice.
not stop giggling when you put it up as the one of the topics. I'm like, holy shit. But ironically, I didn't know there was a show on it. So
right.
I did my research when me and you were talking about topics, and it made me laugh because, like I said, that just shows you, and that's all on me for our listeners. I'm not a huge Netflix guy. I don't keep up on like what's coming out and what is and what's big. Like obviously Stranger Things I saw and stuff like that, but I've never been big into it. So when things pop on there, I'm always a little behind.
Yeah. Well,
Same
it's
with
it's
you know.
interesting. I mean, like I saw about Castlevania the first season, but it really didn't catch my interest really.
It's
So,
something I would like to, so that's why I might gravitate. I'll check it out.
huh.
I always try to give things a shot.
No, it's definitely good. It's
Like The
definitely good stuff.
Handmaid's Tale. That's what I've been watching lately,
Right, right.
which is a weird show.
I'm
That's
actually
that time.
gonna get into Batman the animated series.
Mhm.
The actually not the animated series, the animated movie that just came out, Batman Ninja. I have it locked and ready to go. So maybe
I
we could
stick with
do.
straight Lego Batman. That's where I like to stay.
At this point, fucking.
That shit is hilarious. No, I'm not gonna lie, Christ.
I know, but I mean, at this point, fucking, that's all we got is Lego Batman. Shit.
Anything DC that touches turns to shit.
So, yeah, I know.
You know, leading into the first topic, as I segued into it before, it'll lead into you know more than me in Netflix. Like I said,
Right.
Luke Cage, haven't watched any of those.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So, forget about what's going on in my life. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, there's nothing special.
We
anyway.
all know. We all know.
And we already know. Let's just talk about it. Let's get into it. Fuck it. All right. So, Luke Cage season 2, I am very happy with. I am not gonna lie. I really am digging this. I'm on the last episode. Actually, when we finish recording this podcast, I'm actually gonna finish it up. And we're going to talk about the series as a whole first, and then I'll talk about the similarities of the comics. I mean, as we know, Dan hasn't been able to catch up with any of these Marvel Netflix series.
It's not a
So
matter of can't. I just choose not to. I'm not gonna
chooses
lie to
not
people.
to, but it,
Like I said, I can't watch. I can't fucking binge watch 40 episodes of like 38 different Marvel fucking shows.
well, this is the thing. So these Netflix series are about anywhere from 11 to 13 episodes, I want to say. Sometimes 16 at the most. So it's really not that bad. It's probably like a day's worth of watching, but they do suck you in. Because,
You gonna binge watch for 16 hours in a day? You're right, man. I'll just fucking throw a diaper on, get a couple of jugs of water, I'll be good to go.
you know what I mean? In a fucking weekend, you got to do it on a Saturday the whole day. But some people do that craziness. But all right, so let's talk about Luke Cage, right? So now season 1 had a lot of mixed reviews. Now, to me, I was liking season 1. I like the soundtrack. I like the actor that plays Luke Cage. He does a really good job. Some people just thought it just, I don't know, they didn't like something about it. And I never really understood what it was because I thought the storyline was well thought out, but it was different from Daredevil a lot. So, like, I guess at the time people were just like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling it. But I felt it the whole time. I liked it. He's actually one of my favorite comic book characters. So, we'll get into that a little bit. So, now season 1 happens, a lot of things occur. But if you were to go and watch season 2 right now, you would notice that there's nothing. Oh shit, I'm getting lost in my words. You would notice that you could watch that series from the beginning, and you would have no problems. Like
Yeah.
you could watch it season 2 from the beginning and not have to see season 1 because they do enough flashbacks for you to understand the story. So what I wanted to say was, watching it, I know the Heroes for Hire comic book line. And what's interesting is it follows it pretty closely, but it's different. And what I wanted to say was that when I was watching it, they don't really reference Hero for Hire. And I was like, you know what? This is kind of interesting. I was like, this is like coming close to Heroes for Hire because the main character of this it goes by the name of Bushmaster. And what's interesting about Bushmaster is in the Power Man and Iron Fist comic line, he's one of the actual villains. So he happens to be the villain in this season's Netflix for Luke Cage. He's the villain, and it actually follows pretty closely. So I was digging it. And halfway through this season, when I realized, okay, has to do with Bushmaster, this is Power Man and the Iron Fist. That's the storyline. And I'm like, so what doesn't make sense is, where's Danny Rand? Right? He's the Iron Fist. So I'm like, if this villain has to do with both of them, I'm like, where the fuck is this guy? So I want to say, like, spoilers. Halfway through the season, here he comes. He shows up at the barbershop to talk with Luke Cage, and then he goes around with it. And I was like, fuck yeah, man. This is like the comics. Exactly. And actually, Misty Knight, who's the detective, she gets the robotic arm in this season. So it actually follows really closely. There's a few things that doesn't like match up. Like in the comics, Misty dates Bushmaster and like falls in love with him being undercover for his crew. That doesn't happen. She's like going hard body to try and get him. So that doesn't really happen. Danny is there for 2 episodes. I don't know if he shows up in the last one because I got to watch it right now. But it was very close. Very close. So I was happy to say that, like, out of all these Netflix series so far, out of all the seasons, this one was probably the closest to the comics. And that's why I like it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's really interesting.
I just assumed they all were like that, to be perfectly honest. I would have assumed that they were like, because you have a little bit more, I know you want to change a little bit poetic licensing, so to speak. Like you can change you can adapt from the actual story. But that's like, you can only ask for so much from a movie. It's like 2 hours long. Like these things you get like you were just saying, say you have 14 episodes, that's 14 hours, give or take, maybe like 12 hours, 50 minutes, because they're probably like 48 minutes a pop, where you could fucking get a true look at like that. And I feel like that's how you grow the stories better. Like I just said, for me personally, I just never got into the comics themselves. So for you, that's where I think it grabs a lot of people. That's good. It's the same as if like they put like a fucking, as much as I hate X-Men movies, if they had like an animated cartoon, like when that's the one I used to watch, and an animated Batman and stuff like that, those are the ones that captivated me because the story could just progress so much longer.
Exactly. They really have enough time to really flesh the character out.
That's what made Game of Thrones so good too,
Another thing that I wanted to mention about Luke Cage is that for season 2, when Danny shows up, he's like a different fucking person. And it made me instantly so happy. And it kind of like made me rethink the Defenders series and his Iron Fist series. So like Iron Fist wasn't very well received. People are like, yo, that's not Danny Rand. The way he's portrayed in the Netflix series is not how he is in the comics. But it's interesting because after 2 series, you've seen that he has some growth. And when he shows up to talk with Luke Cage, he's fucking laid back. He's making jokes. He's just chilling out. And it's just like the comics. So now I'm excited for the next Iron Fist, which I'll probably speak a little briefly on what I think the timeline is. So far you have Jessica Jones, and now you got Luke Cage. And unfortunately, you're not going to get the next Daredevil till after Iron Fist. I feel like Iron Fist and Daredevil are going to play hand in hand in the MCU. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because now my theory is that the guy that plays Daredevil, he's in K'un-Lun, where Iron Fist is from. So I have a feeling their 2 storylines are going to intersect this season 2.
So they bring them all together. See, I wouldn't have known that. So they're all showing up in each other's. And where does fucking Arrow fit into all this shit?
Well, Arrow's in DC. He doesn't have nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like
wouldn't even have known that. There you go.
Yeah. So he has nothing to do with that. So like the Defenders they were in Infinity War. You know that, right?
When? In what? In the movie?
No, in the comic.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's what's interesting. They were supposed to have them in Infinity War, but there was just way too much people going on in it. So
they had a whole other group of like 8. Yeah.
They were like, yeah, fuck that. So now this is what's funny. This is what's funny. The other night, actually, because I started catching up on this on Friday, so Saturday night I was like, okay, this is where it doesn't make sense, right? Now I'm loving the series to death. I'm like, you know what? It's so close to the comics. It's fucking awesome. This is where it doesn't make sense, okay? They're part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So technically, when Thanos went snap, half of them were supposed to be gone.
True.
All right?
So what's the timeline? Are they like before this? Are they actively during it? Did they ever like reference actual Marvel movies in these shows?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Now, the weapons that Luke Cage got confiscated in season 1 are from Hammer Industries. That is linked to Iron Man 2.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so it is linked in there,
It's
but
funny.
it doesn't make sense with the snap. So I had to bring that up.
Or in
As
the
much
middle
as
of a conversation, there's that.
Yeah,
disappears. You're
Luke
like, what
Cage
happened?
turns to dust, like what the fuck? So it's interesting. I mean, who knows how it plays in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? But honestly, the series itself is awesome. I think it's great. I like the soundtrack. They had Jadakiss perform in it. They had KRS-One perform in it. They had Ghostface perform in it. Soundtrack is fucking incredible. And then they got like when Danny came, the Iron Fist, when he showed up, they were fighting to Wu-Tang. It was fucking awesome. It's an awesome series. I do. I love it. It came out good. So that's where I'm at with that. Obviously, Dan hasn't been able to see it. He should. So
I'll think about it. I got a lot of shows to catch up on. I keep getting yelled at for.
yeah. So, but you'll get there.
No, I know.
Honestly, now I'm like kind of on the fence with you in The Punisher. Like I kind of want you to see season 2 of this because it's so close to the comics. So who knows? So for our viewers out there, if you haven't been able to catch season 2 of Luke Cage, do it. Fucking do it. All right. So now, speaking of Marvel, we're gonna just segue right into topic number 2 here. All right. Speaking of Marvel, Samuel L. Jackson. He is fucking Nick Fury in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we have an article attached to the topic list that speaks on special technology to de-age him for the role to appear 25 years younger. Now, this is kind of fucking crazy because it's like...
They already do it.
What?
They already do it. That's why I said they just did it in Ant-Man Wasp.
Right. And
Michelle Pfeiffer's in it, and they did it to her.
And
she's like 100.
yeah, right. And they did it to
like a fucking corpse.
They did it to Robert Downey Jr. In Civil War when he's like talking with his parents in the simulated reality.
Yep.
They de-aged him for that part too. So, but they've done it, but they've only done it in like short spurts.
The
like,
whole movie will be interesting.
Yeah, him in the whole movie as 25 years younger. That's fucking freaky.
For me, when I think of like that's the Rogue One, the Star Wars, like they put Leia in it. You know what I mean? When she was younger, and they had the I always forget his name. He was like one of the captains of the Empire, and he was dead. The actor died. He was in that whole movie.
Oh yeah, that's pretty fucking crazy.
So that's what I mean. Like they've been doing this. It's just that you when you look at it, the only reason I would have said I noticed he wasn't fake in that movie is because I'm like that dude died. Like
yeah,
1987. Man, it's like weird. Oh shit, because he was like 100 then. Fucking guy would have been like 130 by the time that came out. But that's what I mean. They're already flirting with it. The key is going to be how does it look? Because I'm sure with Samuel L., especially in that movie, he's going to be running around doing a lot. He's going to be doing a lot of like action scenes. So how is it going to translate with his movement?
Right.
You know, like quick, like standstill spots, no problem. I'm sure that we now that we know, we're all going to be looking for it. But I think for the most part, he's got for crying out loud, he's got 2 eyes now. So
yeah. So like Samuel L. Jackson's like 68, so the shave off 25 years is like what? 43. In his 40s, yeah. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how he looks, but like you said, is his movement going to match up? Like, I mean, Disney's got the secret to age over there apparently, so we'll see what the fuck they bring to the table. But it's kind of interesting that they even mention this because it gives us a little bit more of an idea of what's going to be happening in Captain Marvel. So obviously, we know it's going to be a young Samuel L. Jackson. He's gonna be...
I'm more intrigued where it fits in, Like, how is this... What is the importance of showing us Captain Marvel in 1996?
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't that be, like, a quick segue? Why couldn't that be something small? Why is there a whole movie to it? What are they leading up to making the importance of... Obviously, she's going to play a key role. You wouldn't just throw her in at the end credits.
Right.
But that's what more intrigues me. Why are we showing this past? Like, what kind of... storylines are going to trickle out of this?
I think
we're gonna see younger superheroes and open our eyes to like new, you know what I mean, like new movies that they could lead into. Because obviously we know, like after all this bullshit, you're probably not going to see any more Captain America, no more Iron Man, no more Thor. Like they've made so many of them.
Yeah.
So how is this going to segue into that? What are they going to do?
Well, that's the thing. So like we know that Chris Evans is done for Captain America.
Yeah, we were saying that.
There's some speculation out there that Bucky is going to take the mantle of Captain America, but Falcon could take the mantle of Captain America because that's what happens in the comics.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes down, but I think they're really trying to give us this Captain Marvel movie to kind of give us space between Infinity War, and I feel like also like in the beginning of the MCU, they weren't sure how far down this is going to go. Like they didn't know if we were going to get to 10 years and get to this grand finale movie, which isn't really the finale because Disney has already put up dates, like about 10 dates for the upcoming Marvel movies through 2020 and everything.
Yep.
So but they didn't give us any names, so we have no idea what it is. But I feel like since that's like, they're really stretching it out with these Marvel characters. So to just pull, Captain Marvel out here, it's like you got to give her some sort of backstory because obviously she is going to be playing a role in Infinity War as well as Ant-Man and the Wasp. So we didn't get to see it, guys. We're going to go and give you a review this upcoming weekend. We'll go and catch it. We'll give our review so we can talk more about that and how that's probably going to play into Infinity War. So we'll see. But, I mean, that's what it seems like. It seems like they have to give some sort of backstory because the common person that are going to go see these Marvel movies with their kids most likely does not know the story of Captain Marvel.
Exactly.
So
and how strong she is and what's going on. Yeah, I agree, absolutely.
And how she plays a role in it because she is Kree, the alien race, which is that's kind of linked to Infinity War as it is. So you'll see.
Yeah, we'll get more. I agree.
Yeah.
And we'll get a young sexy Sam L in there. So
young Samuel L. Jackson dropping all kinds of motherfuckers in there. I'm excited. So it's gonna be cool to see him young.
Sam L. circa like Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah, maybe even Pulp Fiction. I mean, the picture they put up in the article was him in Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah.
So you never know.
Fucking, he's got the soul glow going hard.
The fucking Jerry curl. Oh my god, that's hysterical. So we'll see. We'll see how he ends up looking. I hope that doesn't ruin the movie. That was the other reason why we put it on the topic list. Like, I hope they do it well so that we enjoy it and not that it's like a cheap trick, right? Like the CG mustache of the fucking douchebag that played Superman. Like, I don't want that shit,
Yeah. Could be like, ugh.
They might be like, this isn't as good as I thought, and then it kind of downplays Infinity War. I hope that's not what happens. But let's stay positive on it. Be positive here at the Assassin Cast. We want to see some good shit. So, all right, so let's move on, Dan, so we could get this off the fucking topic list. All right, so plain and simple, if you have tuned into our podcast over the last 18 podcasts, we do not like reboots. We don't like sequels. Now, there's an occasional reboot that we might be like, oh, fuck, you know what? I was wrong.
Yeah.
Like the Halloween wasn't a reboot. We thought it was at first, but it wasn't. So we make mistakes.
Oh, that's still going to blow, but...
Yeah, well, we don't know that. Who the fuck knows? I mean, but at the same time...
I know. It's going to blow. But anyway.
But anyway, so, like, and sequels, unless it's done right, we don't want to see a sequel. Like, we don't want to see a sequel to Jurassic Park, but we do want to see a sequel to John Wick. So it all depends on what the fucking series is or what the storyline is. So we're really not too fond of both. So we were looking to put this topic list together. We came across an article pointing out that Skyscraper with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson happens to be the only movie in the recent lineup right now that is not both. It's not a reboot, and it's not a fucking sequel. So, Dan, why don't you tell these lovely listeners what this movie is?
It doesn't even matter what the movie is. Dog shit. I saw the fucking trailer. I'm like, really?
I knew that was coming.
But it is. You know what's funny? It's a fucking reboot. It's a fucking pawn of goddamn Die Hard. It's just a futuristic Die Hard. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then to call it like big blockbuster, why is it a big blockbuster? Because Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's in it. Fucking guy has been in some of the most dog shit movies I've ever seen. We got fucking Rampage out recently. What is that dog shit one where the fucking goddamn earthquakes because the San Andreas fault? Yeah, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I would like to see that guy riding a Schwinn, let alone flying a fucking helicopter and rescuing people. Give me a break. Can you even read?
I don't know.
Right? Just Like, come on, man. It's like the same thing, man. One of the movies I loved because I love Christopher Nolan was Interstellar.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I got to see this fucking scientist, fucking astrophysicist pilot, fucking Matthew
Oh, my
McConaughey.
God.
Are you kidding me? I don't even trust that guy with a lighter. And I got to see him fucking explaining the physics of a goddamn black hole and a fucking. It's like incredible what they think nowadays. But it's
I
like you
know.
said, blockbusters, like usually this summer we get these blockbusters, so I'm used to it, man. I'm not expecting Oscar award-winning movies to be popping out now. We're expecting
No.
like you're grabbing kids, you want action. You got like the Incredible 2, sorry. You got fucking Jurassic Park, Ant-Man and the Wasp. You've got a lot of these movies that are popping. But then I look and I'm like, really? Like there is just nothing that's out that's grabbing my attention. And when I see that infuriated me, that article. Because
Yeah,
I
me
read
too.
it through and through. And I got more angry as I read it because it's eating into what I always complain about.
It is. Me
Making
too.
sequels and stuff, and then we got this movie that, okay, for all I know, I guess it could be an entertaining movie. I'm not gonna lie to people and say it couldn't be entertaining, but still, like really, like I'm not expecting some fucking like knock me on my ass movie. The goddamn name of the movie is Skyscraper.
Right. I mean, pretty much the plot of the movie is it's kind of
Yeah.
similar to Die Hard.
Yeah.
So it's like he's in a state-of-the-art skyscraper. It's supposed to be like the biggest in the world, and he's fighting terrorists. Guess what? That's the plot to Die Hard.
Yep.
Only it's not taking place in the 80s. It's taking place now, and it's with The Rock. And honestly, the trailer wasn't special. That's why it never made it to the topic list. We even fucking put shitty trailers that we see on the topic list because it's shit.
I
But
talked about Shaq Fu, and that came up before we talked about this fucking shit.
that is
Well,
so
that's what I mean. We
true.
went through a lot of. I go through a lot of like, and I know I use like the movie clip trailer on YouTube. I like to watch a lot of them. Like I told you, when I see like a 4K trailer, never
Right.
saw anything for this.
No, the trailer is 3 minutes of him jumping out of a fucking building with a fucking sheet, and
Yeah.
it loses. And you know what's
Well,
funny?
yes, he fucking rock bottoms and people elbows the fucking terrorist, and that's how it ends.
No, he's like all the way up on the fucking building. He ties his sheet to like a fucking pole, and then starts to like scale the building on the outside. And guess what? His fucking heavy ass doesn't get supported by the pipe, and it breaks. And that's the end of the trailer while he's falling.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I don't give a fuck. Like, that's why I never made it to the topic list. I don't give a fuck.
As I was watching it,
Dan don't give a fuck.
That's what we're gonna record for the show from now on, people. Is me watching fucking trailers, and all you have to see is the reaction on my face. And you watch the trailer of me in the corner, and just like, are you kidding me? Like this is what. And don't get me wrong, I'm obviously not a fucking making movies in my spare time, killing it. But Jesus Christ, when these movies are getting $200, $300, $400 million to make them, and we talked about those flops that time on some of those movies. As far as, and when we talk flops, I mean personally, what I look at in a flop is money invested and money earned.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
so
how
when we
much they
saw
spent and how much.
A Wrinkle in Time, you could tell by just by watching a trailer of that movie that there was a ton of money invested in that. And the second I saw Oprah, I knew it was going to make fucking nothing.
Right.
And then, like, you get those, and that's when you get those things. Like, there are a few movies coming out that I thought looked really good. There was one like The Lone Wolf, I think it's called, where you get this. Those are the type of movies I want to see at this point. I'm just getting fed up. Either it's running with what's the word I want to look for? Like, we're just like, everything's either comic book, fucking Jurassic Park, all this shit, Star Wars-esque.
It's either a sequel or it's based on something that's selling right now, like a comic book, or it's a fucking reboot of something that was great in the past.
Do it off of books, I'm okay with that. Like, I like movies based off books.
Right. But this is a whole nother thing. And what sucks about this is, for the fact that Skyscraper, a movie that we didn't even want on the topic list when we heard about it, is the only thing here that is not a reboot or a fucking goddamn sequel. It's sad, and that's our summer blockbusters right now. Come on, that's ridiculous. And you know what's crazy? Like, if you've been listening to our podcast, we break you the news on a lot of shit, because when I was looking up all these topics, guess what? They finally found out the name of the next John Wick movie. We fucking talked about that 7 podcasts ago. It's Parabellum.
It's like,
welcome to the Assassin Cast, motherfuckers. Like, come on, we're ahead of the game. And obviously, my point is, if we're telling you some shit, it's bad, or it's great. You know what I mean? Like, We're gonna give it to you straight up. And this is a fucking problem, is what I'm saying. This is a real bad problem.
Just the movies lately. Just anybody. I want to like people tell us if you disagree, but I'm like, what the fuck could you possibly be loving right now? That's grabbing you.
Well, that's the thing. They don't want to take risks.
Gaming is killing me too right now.
Listen, the last time one of these movie companies took a risk, you got the DC universe.
Yeah, right. I gotta watch fucking Aquaman. I'm like, come on, really?
I know it's bad, and they're trying to pump that shit up. They're relying on Harley Quinn right now to fucking bring
that movie was dog shit. I had to listen to my brother telling me how he loved Suicide Squad. I'm like, did I not know you were blind? Were you blind? I didn't know that. Like, you watched that movie? Like,
oh
I could have
seen
that if I saw Margot Robbie full naked. Maybe I would have been like, like, all right, it's not bad.
That was terrible. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. Fucking Will Smith. I'm surprised Will Smith stayed to the end of that movie. That's what makes me surprised.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the thing. Hopefully we get some better stuff coming these next 2 months. But from what I remember, the last couple lists that we went over for this year, I didn't see anything too special for the summer. So hopefully that changes. Maybe there's something that's coming out that we don't know about yet that they've been playing close to the chest. So we don't know. So we'll see. And we'll leave it at that. And unfortunately, if you guys are a Dwayne The Rock Johnson fan, we don't hate on you here. We don't hate on him personally, but
no,
this movie is shit.
I hate on him personally. Give me a break.
Dan hates on him personally.
Somebody fucking write in. Let me know what movie he was good in.
Yeah, and please take your time.
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
All right, we're being dicks. Let's just move on to some sad news.
Yep.
Okay, so unfortunately, the co-creator of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and others, I'm pretty sure it was like Fantastic Four, and there's some other.
A lot of the villains on Spider-Man.
Yeah, a lot of villains. He was a part of a lot of the Spider-Man universe, and then also Fantastic Four and some other C-list characters. But his name is Steve Ditko, and he died at the age of 90. He was found in his Manhattan apartment during this week that just passed. And it's some sad stuff because, you know, this is the guy who created or co-created with Stan Lee Spider-Man. And that's one of our beloved characters. We got a PS4 game coming out that looks incredible. That's later for the gaming section. But, like, we finally got good Spider-Man movies. We've got an established universe in the movies. There was a lot of stuff that he contributed to, and he deserves all the recognition he can get. And like we said in the beginning of the intro, he lived to fucking 90, man.
That's what I mean, man. He had a good life.
He had a great life. He got to see his life's work, come to fruition right before he got to leave. You know what I mean? Like, right before...
You got to see paper turn to, like, reality. That's crazy.
Right. He got to see these incredible Marvel movies that are above and beyond probably anything he even fucking dreamed of when he came up with the character. So, like, it's amazing. It's actually an amazing story to think of that a guy who was in his 90s, right? So, like, let's see. I don't know when they released Spider-Man, the first one. I think it was...
Oh, you mean the movie? Or you mean the
the comics. I'm thinking it's like...
68, take?
Yeah,
like that.
Or maybe a little earlier. No, you're right. I think it's like in the early 60s
in
or...
the late 60s,
yeah. So it's amazing how to see from the 60s, from probably his first drawings that he drew to now in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how far these characters have came. So it's amazing, and he gets all the recognition he gets. Cheers to you, Steve Ditko.
And he will, yeah.
Right.
I said, like, he lived a good life, man. 90 years old, that motherfucker saw a lot.
He did see a lot. He probably saw a lot, did a lot.
The comics will never be like that again. Like now, you know. Now it's more like graphic novels, they'll call them instead of comics. But he revolutionized stuff that you think about it. Like, that's like generations of kids.
Right. And, you know,
you say all those names, we know them.
Right. And the fact of the matter is, he co-created Spider-Man and all these other characters, but at the end of the day, there's been other artists that have came in and took over the series. Like, I have a recent comic from 2014 that I just read through. It's Spider-Man and Miss Marvel. You know, she takes the mantle of Captain Marvel after after she leaves or something like that. And it's a different artist, different authors. So it eventually the mantle gets passed down, but it's what he created that we appreciate.
Yeah.
You know, like if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a lot of the MCU. That's for
He
sure.
just deserves as much credit as Stan Lee.
Right. And Stan Lee, that gets me worried. That was my other part of this.
Of course, yeah.
Gets me worried, man. We don't want to lose the greatest. But you know what? Unfortunately, they're getting old. And I don't want to say that it's an inevitable thing, but it is. You know, eventually, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. And the fact that they're at 90 years old is fucking amazing. So they lived full lives. And honestly, you get all the recognition in the world here from us. And, you know, I haven't seen anybody else, either on YouTube or in podcasts, mention any of this yet, which is a shame. You know, he's a great guy. Definitely, I mean, for the fact that him and Stan Lee came up with these characters is amazing. So,
yeah.
So, unfortunately, we hope you rest in peace, obviously. And,
Keep on drawing, dude.
Yeah, keep on drawing up there. Send some good movie ideas down to these fucking dickheads out here. Jesus Christ.
Comes back as a DC writer.
Right? Oh my god, that'd be horrible. Holy shit. So
that's his hell. He wakes up and
they're like,
you're working for DC. No!
Oh my god. And he's like,
of working for DC. That's what he wakes up to.
My god, I hope not. I hope he's up there in heaven.
Fucking horrible. I'm sure he is, man.
That's fucking craziness. But yeah, man, it was a sad thing to read. Especially because he was found in his apartment, and I'm not sure if he was still married. I mean, at this point, he's old, so I mean, I'm not sure if he outlived his wife. I have no idea.
What does that even mean? That's so awesome.
No, I'm just saying.
He's married. He's old.
Well, I mean, come on, he's 90 years old. I don't know if his wife lived to 92. You know what I mean? Like, who fucking knows?
28-year-old fucking model wife. We don't know. That man could have been living the dream.
True that. I mean, hey, that's a good way to go out. Shit.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Well, that's it for the movie portion of this week's Assassin Cast. At least before we leave, at least he went out in his own, on his own terms, and it wasn't suicide or anything like that. Thank fucking God. So this ends this portion of this week's Assassin Cast of the movies, or the movie portion, for July 1st. Damn.
Oh, wow, he got it.
I had to look it up earlier.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
I made a mental note. Jesus Christ. All right, so if you movie heads are tuning out, see you later. Peace out. All right, so let's move on to the gaming section, and you're going to get a good laugh out of this. My computer just spell checked Castlevania. And you know what it says?
You spelled it wrong.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, well, now it says Chanteline.
Yeah, no, that's what it said the entire time.
It said Chanteline?
Yes, because you sent it to me, and I'm like, is this guy, I hope this guy's not talking about what I think he's talking about.
No. Holy shit, that's weird. Sorry about that. All right, so let's talk gaming now. Obviously. All right, we're going to talk Castlevania Netflix series that is coming back for season 2. And this was interesting because it's well received. And at first, like the first couple of episodes I heard weren't that great, but it actually built up. It's almost like an anime.
Yeah,
it's almost like an anime. I'm not hating on the anime art style. I think, if it's done right, it's great. Like, I like the Boondocks. That was one of my favorite animes. Yeah. Black Dynamite, I like also. It's some shit that sticks out to me, makes me laugh. But this actually looks pretty good. So it got a season 2 for this October, which kind of makes sense. It gives a Halloween theme, I guess.
Yep. To an extent, but yeah.
To an extent for season 2.
Dracula in it.
Right. So it's like for the month of October. So you got Halloween Reboot and fucking Castlevania Netflix series to look forward to this October. No, I'm not hating on it. We're not even going to put it in the same fucking sentence, but it looks pretty good. That's for sure. I was surprised that it got a season 2 because, honestly, things that get a season 2 got to be pretty well received. So,
Netflix usually gives it a shot if it did pretty well.
Right.
I'm sure it's got a cult following. Like I said, I've been playing the game, so that's why I was laughing when you put that on the topic list. That's what I've been playing retro, and I was giggling. Like, look at this, and there's a show. But I personally didn't watch the first season. But after you brought that up, I started looking at reviews of it. Yeah, it's probably I like the anime section. Sometimes I like that. I need a little change of pace from everything else I watch, whether it's dramas or fucking whatever the fuck's like the flavor of the week. But this looks like something different, so it is something I'd give a shot to.
Yeah. So it pretty much it follows the storyline of Castlevania. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it does to a T. It said.
Really?
That's what I was reading. Yeah.
All right, so it follows it to a T, which is good. So if you like the games, you definitely want to check this out. If you really wanted to know what the storyline is, I mean, this Castlevania has been spread over years. You know, there was a Castlevania, I think, Lord of Shadows on the PS3. So you're talking
it was. Yeah.
So you're talking from NES to PS3. That's a long time and a lot of stories to be put into a series. Yep. So it's interesting. I mean, I'm happy that it got a season 2. Puts us gamers on the map over here with
well, at least they're trying to do something.
Netflix.
We all know about the movies; they've been shit.
Right. So now, if you want to steer away from this shitty summer blockbusters, you could check out Castlevania for season 2. So I didn't catch season 1, but maybe what I'll do is I'll put it in my lineup. See, and watch it.
You can see what it does exactly on the same way.
So I mean, I guess we could leave it at that. I don't have much more to say about it. It looks well received. I love the game, so I'm hoping it does well. So we'll see what happens this October. Maybe it gives me time to see season 1.
Well, we got time to see it before it comes out. You know, you got 2 months.
So let's move on to. That was a quick topic. Holy shit, breezing through these. All right, so let's move on to Resident Evil 2 remake. This has made it back to the topic list fucking 6 times over already. We all know that Resident Evil 2, the remake, looks fucking incredible. It is done well. I actually sat and watched about a 20-minute gameplay demo, and it's pretty fucking close to the original story. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep. So you're following both of them, right? It's like Leo and the other chick.
Yeah. So it's like you could play through as Leon, and then you come through as the other chick and do it again. And it's the storyline's a little different for both of them.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. So we got an article here that speaks of new areas that they included and zombies in this Game Informer article. So we'll discuss that a little bit. I'll pull up the article if you want to take over for a second.
No, I think this game could be really well. Like we know, like I've seen played a lot of Resident Evil, and the original being the first, obviously that was phenomenal. And even this one, I remember when we first played it because you had that option where you could go in as both. And I remember and it depicted you could change the storyline depending on what you did with the other ones. Like I remember that was how you got like different secret endings. Like you had to kill a certain thing a certain way when you were playing. I think it's Leo. I can't remember the chick's name. I always forget. I'm really bad with names, guys, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
But I can picture what she looks like, which is hilarious. But yeah, it's the same thing. Like it can play onto the other storyline. So I think that'll actually be pretty good. And again, graphically, I'm sure it'll be phenomenal. Now it's just a matter of what I hope is they get back to the roots of Resident Evil. So what I mean by that is when I remember playing that original, like the fucking music, even though the graphics aren't what they are now, just like the fucking you actually got scared playing a game. Like I don't know about anybody else that plays like that. You know how long it's been, and I like to think maybe because you were younger when you played it, but no, there aren't games that do that to me anymore. Like I can go fucking play like what is it, like Live for Dead or whatever those games are.
Oh
yeah, something pop up, bang! I just blow off its head. I didn't even think twice.
Exactly.
I truly remember so many Resident Evils where dogs are jumping through windows.
Oh my
You
god!
would literally all of a sudden you're like, why am I fucking tachycardic right now? Like why is my heart beating so fast? It's because it actually spooked you.
Exactly.
I think they could do. And I think what they'll end up doing, which could be amazing in this game, is implementing a little bit of what they did in Call of Duty, which was in Call of Duty when you all of a sudden you were wrestling with a guy, like it would break from the normal traditional first person, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody would grab you from like behind, like a German guy or something, and it would slow mo, and then on the screen it would show you like you'd have to quickly get your left analog into a small circle and start tapping a button, and if you didn't meet the requirement based on the level you're doing,
killed.
The fucking guy killed you. So you could do the same thing with a zombie grabbing at you, and the thing's like up in your face, drooling on you, and you have like 3 seconds. You know the first time everybody's gonna die, but that's the whole point.
Right.
good scare out of it.
So, from what I saw in the gameplay demo, it is kind of like that. So if a zombie grabs you, you gotta like slam on X or square to try and fight him off of you. And then if you get bit, you see it. It's on him. And then you gotta use the spray like in the original game.
Yep.
There's a lot of similarities. But from what the article says is that they're adding some new areas and some, I guess, new zombies. I don't know what exactly that means. Maybe the way they look is different. Which is interesting. I'm pretty sure that both the chick and Leon are going to, their stories as you play through are going to affect the actual storyline. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting to see how you play the game. So obviously your decisions affect your gameplay, which I kind of started digging on that a lot.
I wanted it to. That's what a lot of them did when I played it.
I mean, even like the theory of it has been around for a long time. Assassin's Creed has been like that. If you say no to something, it affects your storyline, and that's why when I replayed Assassin's Creed 2, it was a different experience because I said yes to everything. I just did not say no to anything, and it was a totally different experience. Yep. So it's interesting that they're going to have it like that. Also, from what I saw in the gameplay, is that it's very puzzle oriented, like the first one. Because like you need to do certain puzzles to open key, like you have to get keys and do certain things different ways. You got to get these medallions to unlock the secret passageway out of the police station and shit like that. So it's interesting. Definitely is. So they're really putting in a lot of work for this remake. And like you said, when I was a kid, we were playing Resident Evil 3. Like we played both of them, Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2, and then like I guess when we were younger, we weren't feeling Resident Evil 2 for some reason. But me and my good friend up the street, my neighbor, but when we got Resident Evil 3 with Nemesis, we were fucking scared, man. He would fucking jump through the windows, fucking get at you from the wall, and you had the tank controls, and you couldn't fucking do nothing because she's too slow turning around. Like, oh my god, it was crazy. So it's interesting, and then like even watching the gameplay, like these fucking things jump out at you. You jump, you're like, holy fuck, like if it wasn't for,
would be sick too.
Yeah, there was commentary on the demo, and if it wasn't for him speaking, if I was just watching it with no sound, I would have jumped from that 100%. It's like it catches you off guard, so. It's interesting. It's good to see. The whole point of putting this on the topic list was, since they're adding new areas and zombies, it's bringing something fresh to the game. So a game that you played 20 years ago that you probably beat 100 times over, because when you're a kid, you don't buy games every fucking day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you played that game 16 times. You beat it with the girl. You beat it with the dude. You got all the extras. So you already know. You know what the story's going to be like. You already know what to fucking do in the game. So to add something new to this, it's good. It gives you a reason to come back and replay it. And obviously, Capcom is smart. See, now you have to play through as Leon and then play through as the other chick, and it affects the storyline. That means you're going to play the game twice. So you got a replay value of twice.
DLCs will be popping like crazy. And
oh, yeah, forget it. So
we know all about that. Like, hey, you want fucking, you want to see him in a fucking red pair of pants? $10.
Right, and I don't understand why they keep doing that shit. Like, just add the shit on a fucking disc. I don't get it. Like, but obviously people want this game, so they're going to give you this shit bare bones, unfortunately, I'm sure. I mean, they're taking some time. I still don't even know if we got a fucking date for this. Hold on, let me check real quick.
I haven't seen anything, but I could be wrong, because I'm more upset at the fact that I can't play it on my Xbox, because fuck you. That's what I like to say.
I know, but we'll get a chance to play
I'll go get a Pro. I'm thinking about it. I'll go buy one just so I have a Pro before Jeremy and the Xbox One X.
Hey, listen, I've been looking into it, so it's coming soon. Yeah. And you know what? When I get it, we could do a co-op.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about this during Thanksgiving. Yeah. I'm telling you, man. I'm fucking on it. I'm going to do it.
Nah, you know what it is? I've been waiting, so we'll see.
I'm only busting your balls.
I know, and honestly, me and my girl have been really talking about it. She really wants to get me one for the podcast, really. So honestly, we'll do a co-op.
You're gonna buy one for the podcast. I don't know how you sold her on that, but my man, you deserve a Nobel Prize for that.
I have no fucking idea. I love you to death, babe. Shit.
What are you saying that for? She don't watch.
She don't fucking want to hear me talk. Holy fuck. All right, let's move on. Okay, so here is something special for you fuckers out there on the gaming section. Ha! All right. So I found out recently, well, we found out recently, that there's an interesting fact on the NES Classic Edition. So now we're not going to endorse you hacking up your NES Classic Edition. It's a collectible.
Sorry.
You should do it, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not endorsing you hacking your shit because if you brick your NES Classic Edition, don't be coming to the Assassin Cast like you guys are fucking assholes. And I'm gonna say, we told you we don't endorse that.
Yep.
So anyway, so now we found out that there's a possibility to be able to play Famicom Disk System games on your NES. Yeah, on the NES Classic.
Some great games popping up there. Bubble Bobble.
Bubble Bobble, and the Disk System Bubble Bobble, or the original Zelda full-fledged.
Yeah, you get two. Legend of Link, I believe, was there too.
Right, and then they also had the original Mario Brothers 2, which to us is the Lost Levels in America.
Yes.
Right.
That was the Japanese one, yeah.
So now apparently hackers have found out that they have the NES, the Famicom Disk System BIOS is on the Classic Edition. So all you have to do is, if you're hacking your NES Classic Edition anyway to add the whole library, you could just add the Famicom Disk System games in there also because it has the fucking BIOS on it.
You talked about this when we talked about it like a podcast or two ago, that they almost left it open for people to do that. Like, they know.
Right. They know that people are going to hack this and they don't care.
Do it. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like, they just couldn't physically get the approval from every fucking company to put all these games on there. But again, they're not going to be like, make it impossible for you to do it too. Like, that's the whole point. Like, you get that system, and it's what I'm sure the memories, but obviously you get way more memory than the original. But I'm sure even if you put like 5 gigs of like space on a fucking thing like that, I could put every game ever created.
Right. I don't even think it takes that much space.
That's what I mean. Without even coming close to filling it. You got it on my goddamn DS, for Christ's sake. I have every goddamn NES game ever made. So I'm pretty sure I can get it on a Classic without that much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really need a lot of space. There's internal memory in it. You can't add an SD card to it, obviously. But you got internal memory, and it can handle that. And what's nice about this is, Nintendo does know that they're fucking hacking the shit out of this. They know that they're going to dump the library on it. And guess what? They included the BIOS for Famicom Disk System. So you will have no issue running those games on your NES Classic Edition. So to me, that makes it worth it. I mean, last podcast we discussed it.
I just like that you can hook it to the TV. That's pretty solid.
Right. I like that you could hook it up to the TV too. And we discussed last podcast that I could have went and bought one yesterday because I saw 6 of them in Walmart when I was there yesterday. And I could have got one right then and there. But to me, it's not worth it because I play my classics through the laptop and I get a native 4K signal. So it's coming in a crisper resolution on my laptop as opposed to getting the Classic Edition. But now to me, that gives me a reason to buy it because I could play Disk System games right on my TV without even fucking doing anything. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting that they found that in the first place, or some guy was just like, let me put a fucking Disk System game on here and see if it works, and it does. So, now, obviously, the whole point of this is Nintendo wasn't telling people that. So, like, if you go and you're not going to be if you're not putting games on this means nothing to you anyway, this whole topic. But for people like me,
I'd have to look at that. We said that last time, like 30.
Yeah, so it comes with 30, and it's obviously first-party classics like Mario and Zelda, anything that Nintendo created like Metroid and stuff like that. But it does have some third-party stuff, but it doesn't have everything, obviously. So, but the fact that you can add the Disk System games means that you can have several versions of the same game. Like, you can have the original Legend of Zelda from Europe, USA, Japan, and then have the Disk System fucking game of the same game.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have an NES collection, right, and it's taking up space in your house. Like, say you have a full set, which is highly unlikely from a lot of collectors to have a full NES set of 700 cards. Let's say you did, and you have a whole wall. You could finally put your cards into storage and preserve them, and just be playing on the fucking Classic Edition.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, and even the disc system games. There's about 300, I think, disc system games.
That's crazy. That's so many games. I love
All
it.
right, so it's great. It's amazing that that was found out. So, if anybody has questions on that, you could leave a comment. I'll explain it to you a little bit more in depth of how it exactly works. But for the fact that you could play disc system games on there, it's
Score.
awesome. All right, Dan, this is on you. Last topic of the Assassin Cast. All right, so Dan was bringing some stuff to my attention. One happens to be an RPG that I was looking into, which is
Which one are we talking about? The Warhammer? Or are you talking about my Shining Resonance Refrain?
Shining Resonance Refrain. Why don't you tell them about that? So before you go, wait.
Oh,
Before
wasn't I just fucking stretch and relax, dude?
wait.
I know, I'm like stretching on the screen. He's yelling. I'm like,
All
I'm
right.
moving.
So in case anybody had tuned into our last podcast, we didn't have a lot of fond things to say about Mother 3, which was an Earthbound. It's an RPG that a lot of people love, but we weren't saying that we hate all RPGs. We do like certain different ones.
So that's what I see. The difference will be between me and Jeremy because I lean towards RPGs
I mean, I like RPGs as well.
more
I just
than
don't,
anything else. I'll
mean-
play an RPG over playing any of these other games. That's my honest thing. Always.
I like to change it up. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest.
Oh, that's why I said those third-person ones: Grand Theft Auto, Hitman, Assassin's Creed, Red Dead Redemption. Those are not. I will play them. Even Witcher 3 was probably the first one that I really went all the way through. I don't get that into those games.
Right.
Never have. I always stick more. That's why this game, when I saw it, reminds me a lot of it's like a code mixed with a Final Fantasy aspect to it.
Right, you were saying that.
That's
To
why
me,
I
that
like
interests
Party.
me.
It's a party fight. So you're gonna have 4 characters. It's showing, but it's also gonna be a little bit. If I try to think of a gameplay as far as the fight scenes go, is not gonna be anybody that's played Final Fantasy or games like that where you do an ability and then you see the damage dealt to the monster. It's not gonna work like that. It's gonna be more like Kingdom Hearts where you're actually attacking something.
Oh, so it's not turn-based.
No, but
Okay.
what happened is it's a mixture of both. So you'll have turn-based fights, and you're gonna have boss fights where you have to fight them straight up.
Okay, I got you.
So
So
it's gonna do a little bit of both. And this drops on July 10th, so it comes out. As far as like you always do, but I'm not a big fan. Is me going into this is the storyline. I don't go crazy into them. When the more I read about it, honest to God, and I'm gonna be honest, when I play these type of games, I don't give a shit. I figure out the story as I play it. This has more to do with dragons, and you're going around, but it's a party based as far as you're going to have 4 people. And I'm assuming the more I looked at it, yes, there's going to be magic involved. Yes, there's going to be warriors involved in same classes like that. And that I just like the concept of doing both. You're mixing the genre of okay, it's going to be turn based, but then I'm also going to switch it back real quick to I'm actively fighting this and reacting to the environment, and then I'm going back to and going in.
okay, so that makes sense. I mean, from what I saw, it looks very good.
It does.
I mean, for the gameplay version of it, I guess for me that would actually interest me because I don't always like turn-based RPGs.
Yep.
But if it has a little bit of both, I guess that changes it up enough for me to enjoy. So that's actually interesting to me. From what I saw visually, it looks really good. I mean, it's definitely an anime-based RPG. Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Sega. It's an old Sega game. When
Wow.
I'm looking at the screen, I'm trying to remember. I feel like it is
So now that's coming out July 10th.
July 10th. So when we do our podcast for the week of July 1st to the 7th, let's say. Today is the 8th when we record it, which is Sunday, so it'll be out Tuesday in 2 days.
Okay, so 2 days from when you hear this podcast, that game is going to be out.
Yep.
And then what about
Most people should know because I believe this was after there was the first one, which was Warhammer End of Time, and they called it like Vermintide. This is like Vermintide 2. This comes out July 11th, but this is like a first-person aspect. But it can also, what I liked about it, you're either playing with a group of, it's a 4-player set. Okay, so again, similar to what we just talked about, except it is absolutely not turn-based. It's all actively fighting in the environment.
Okay, so this
But for
one's an action RPG.
Yes, and this would be us. So this could be like me and you playing against it with 2 other guys, let's say over the internet, and we're fighting. But this is based more like Gothic, or it's another way of putting that, like Crusader-esque. So you're going to be fighting with hammers and spears, and you're fighting the environment of just like hordes of I'm assuming they're demon-based humans, but they're most like humanoids, like that you're fighting. It looks like, at least what I liked about this one is I got to see a closer gameplay avenue of it. And like I said, the only thing that gets me a little hesitant is that it's first person.
Okay, gotcha.
But I like the fact that I'm not shooting. I guess that's what grabs me a little more.
Okay.
If I'm shooting a bow or a crossbow, I'm fucking slugging you with spears and hammers. So that's actually looks pretty good.
All right, so that's pretty interesting too. That's definitely a change of pace for an action RPG. So it's coming in as a first person, and then you're also not using anything traditional like a fucking gun or something like that.
Yeah.
You're coming out with a spear, or like you said, because it's a medieval type game. Huh, that's very
And
interesting.
it's got a little, like you said, you'll see it's, and then it's like, but it also brings in other aspects of games that people like to play that type that I usually do. Meaning that you're going to get a talent tree. If people understand what I mean by that, it means that you're going to build into a section of your talents. So let's say you want to be more magic oriented, you want to be more what's like warrior-esque, rogue-esque, which a lot of people like to play nowadays, like that. You're also going to have careers in the game. There's looting systems that you'll do because you're playing with people online.
Right.
So you're
Right.
going to have to be able to, and again, this is where I see them trying to broaden, as far as Xbox or any of these systems, broadening out. This is where you have to go. If I want to play a game where I want to feel like I'm online multiplayer-esque, I want it to be a 4-man game. That's it.
Right. I mean, there's no reason
Think
to
of it like
do this battle royale bullshit.
people play online, which a lot of my buddies have been trying to get me to back into playing, is like Diablo.
Right.
Diablo is very similar. It's a 4-man dungeon-esque game where you're building up a talent tree. But again, that's more, those type of games turn into end content games. What I mean by that is that the actual leveling process when you're playing these games means absolutely shit. So somebody coming into a game like that saying, I want to experience this game and play it through by myself, that's not why people play these games. That is not the end. It's called end game content for a reason.
Right.
So you're playing these games to go as fast as humanly possible to max level and then start fucking building your guy so he's a stud.
Yeah.
And that's the key to this game will be as well. It'll be as quickly can I get to the last level, and then how quickly can I get really good gear and just start slugging the shit out of things.
Right. And then you also have a 4-person multiplayer. And
yeah,
you know what?
That's what I said, yeah.
That's actually really good to me because I just saw an article that didn't make it to the topic list. That Sea of Thieves that came out on Xbox, it's a Microsoft exclusive.
Game,
yeah, I heard that they're gonna have some DLC that is including a battle royale mode. How the fuck do you do a battle royale mode with a bunch of pirates on a boat? Can you explain that to me? I don't fucking understand. So
you say it like that, but then like we saw a lot of
what?
Like Battleground was big for people because of the fact that you could be in a tank, and then all of a sudden you look up in the sky and there's fucking Dan McCarthy flying in on a fucking fighter jet shooting fucking shit at you. Like it was like, I'm not gonna lie, when that first came out, I was loving it, but it became old quick, and now it's just the what's it called? This is the new norm.
Well,
I think
don't
Xbox
get
One
that.
came out with their new patch as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff got
the other day. Yeah, the new patch came out. So pretty much it's letting you change. They're trying to get people so you can load these games quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you realize they're fucking massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I put some of these games on, you're looking at 50 gigs for a game.
Yeah, so
I have to download it. For people that don't know that, like, and I'm sure maybe I was behind at times, just because I own the disc, it still has to internally download the game.
Right.
So it's like what would happen was, for instance, when I first bought my Xbox One X, I'm all pumped. I'm going to get a little Call of Duty, and I want to see what this looks like in 4K. I get everything set up, and then it's going to take 30 minutes for it to go until I can get to. And I'm hardline connected. I'm not Wi-Fiing this shit. Hardline connected. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then now what they're trying to do is you can jump into the game quicker, which you should be able to. A lot of games doing that now.
So let's explain that a little bit. I mean, we're kind of off topic, but we might as well get this out now. So now, a typical Blu-ray disc. I mean, we talked about disc drop a couple podcasts ago, but a typical Blu-ray disc, it has a double layer of data, and it actually holds up to 80 gigabytes of memory. So obviously, a lot of these newer games are really fucking big, and that's why they have these incredibly large hard drives that come in these consoles, like 1 terabyte, and then you could even upgrade to a 3 terabyte if you want to pay the money for it and do the work, which it doesn't take much to change out a hard drive on your shit. But the updates that you get off the internet are patches that are going to make the game actually play, obviously, and then if there's problems that people discover through the games, they release another update on it, and you constantly update your game. But the whole thing is, like you said, I don't know why it's like this, but on the previous generation, those 80 gigs of files were on the disk, and you just had to download an update. If there was a change in it, if there was a patch that fixed something, you downloaded the update, and that was it. You're good to go. But now you have to load the entire game onto your hard drive. So eventually, Dan, when you get fucking 20 games over time, your hard drive is going to fill up. It's 50, 50, 50. You only have 1,000 gigs essentially because it's a terabyte. So you're eventually going to have to take something off. And then guess what? When you want to play it again, you got to download it again. So maybe next podcast in the gaming section, we'll discuss what we think of the future of collecting modern gen consoles. Because
it'll be very different.
Right. I actually have an article that I haven't released yet that's talking about previous generation like PS3 and Xbox 360, but it sort of applies for PS4 and Xbox One. So we'll discuss that next podcast. I'll make a note to myself to write it down for number 19. We'll talk about collecting the next gen and ways to get around some of this bullshit. So we'll see about that. So I guess that's it for the topic list this week. Do you have anything else you want to add to that last one?
Nope, I'm just going to, in all honesty, the more I read about it, then I'll probably be looking at some of these games, and I'll be able to give people, like, the Shining Resonance Refrain will be something I'll probably pick up. I have time. I'm never a fan of trying to run out. I don't think it's going to be the type of game where I have to get it right away. I think I told you, like, nowadays I could just get the digital copy, but for some reason that angers me. Because I feel like they're cheeseballing me. Like, if I'm going to fucking pay money for a goddamn game, I want to be able to hold it in my hands and fucking wave it at somebody. I don't want it to be able to be like, oh, it's right here. But again, I've talked to people before. I played a lot of Warcraft, a lot of Diablo, a lot of SWTOR on my computer, and I can't physically touch the games that I bought in those sense.
Well, another thing is, when it comes to an RPG, you're better off getting the physical anyway, because say this RPG doesn't do too well. You have the physical copy, so you never know. Maybe years down the line, when you want to get something different, you have either trade barter or you're able to sell it, and it'll hold its value, maybe increase it.
Or somebody in my family can steal it and sell it, which has happened before.
Right, and then they get the increased value.
The thing is, somebody else gets it. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. So, what are you playing? Nothing? Besides the classics?
That's why I'm sticking with the classics. It's ironic that I'm sitting around messing with Castlevania, which was funny that you brought that up.
Right.
But like I said, I already beat DuckTales, and then you would have laughed. Oh, God, what day was it? I think it was Tuesday, before the 4th of July. I had a bunch of my little nephews. Everybody went to my parents' house. I never even realized my dad's got the Atari. What's it called? Set up. I don't know which one he bought because you're more apt in what's going on. So he's got one, and then I'm showing them how to play Frogger. These kids, 6 and 4, are loving it.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was funny because I wish because he's got the actual retro controllers.
Right.
I was laughing let me show you how we would normally have jumped, and I'm hitting the joystick back and forth. But it was when we were doing Pitfall, they were in tears laughing because they kept dying.
Yeah,
and here I am jumping over everything, and I was trying to tell him, listen, I've been playing this game since nobody even knew you were going to be here in this world.
That's
laughing.
so true.
But my one brother jumped in, and he was killing it because he remembered, and then we got into a lot of talking. I said, so it turns into a lot of retro is just, I don't know, maybe I'm at that age.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, honestly, that's awesome that happened. And I saw on one of those Facebook groups, actually it was today, it was somebody posted up a status that made me laugh, and it said, what's a good game to get started for my 3-year-old between the N64 and something else? Fuck, what was it? It was another system in the same year. Maybe it was Saturn or Dreamcast. Yeah. It was something or PlayStation. I don't know. It was one of the two. And they were what game would you start your 3-year-old with? In my mind, I'm that's a little advanced for a 3-year-old. Wouldn't you want to break out the NES?
GoldenEye.
Right.
And then I would kill him every time.
It's break out the NES, show them what fucking Panic Restaurant looks like, or fucking.
Even the Atari, it was funny, man. Some of those games, I remember, like I said.
Right. It's a,
And that's what I said. Some of those games, like what was like they were fucking around like Space Invaders or something. Those games aren't crazy hard. The concept is there. It
right.
was easy. 4-year-old was playing it. Frogger was the one they got really into.
Yeah, of course.
Which
Everybody
was
loves
ironic.
Frogger,
Yeah,
right?
that's why I was laughing.
That's
Like
great.
you went too fast. It was good. It was good. Like I said, to see somebody like I guess because they're too young. Like if I tried showing that to like somebody that was like 15, 16, like those
Yeah.
graphics, I get it, they're awful, but that's not what you're playing it for. You're just laughing
Right.
at the simplicity of the game. That's really what it was funny about, and how it like, oh, it's stupid, it's so easy, and then you fucking dying left and right makes me laugh. It's like it's really not like those games because they're not like you're expecting them to react like you're playing on your Xbox. Yeah, no.
Nah, it's
You know how many
totally
times
different.
a little piece of fucking Cheeto got stuck in my controller and I couldn't jump, and all you heard was 10-year-old Dan, fuck, fuck,
Oh my god, I know. I've been the same way over the years. Fucking throwing controllers. It's interesting to see that, but you know what? That's just what it is. These older kids right now, they don't understand where this shit has came from and how important the retro stuff is. Because without that, they wouldn't have their Fortnite or whatever the fuck they're playing these days. But for me, I've been working on Batman Arkham City. I took a break from everything. I started that a while back, so I want to just finish it. I got stuck a while back. I got stuck again a while back, and every time I get stuck, I just toss it.
I want them to understand how many fucking times this guy plays the game, stops, plays a new game, stops. It's incredible.
No, but that's
honestly,
the thing.
I should hold his entire collection and just dish out a game weekly that he's allowed to play. That's the only way I get him.
Oh my god, it's so funny. But I've been working on that. I'm on one game.
That's a great game. Great game.
It is Arkham City. I'm playing right now, and I'm actually getting close to the end. Finally, fucking thank God. And then I was playing last night. We were talking about this. I was playing Doom on the 32X.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was fucking great, and I was just blowing through it. And you know what? It took me a while to realize because I have, all the classics on my phone, and I play on the train. I play Wolfenstein 3D a lot. Just to pass the time because I love the game, obviously. And I realized playing Doom on the 32X that this is a fucking cakewalk. I could run through this game. I went to the 6th level in like minutes. So that was cool. I picked up a couple games with those. What else? There was something else I was playing. Oh,
of course there was.
Bubble Bobble.
Get out of here. Were you really?
I swear to God. Yeah, you brought that up randomly. I was playing it on the Game Gear on my phone. So that was funny. I've been playing that on the train like every morning because it's like for whatever reason, that version of Bubble Bobble I love a lot. It's like I don't know what it is. Maybe because they try to symbolize it more than it already was.
Yeah, that's what makes it great.
And I was running through it with a huge score. I got up to it's not huge obviously, but when you got up to 500,000 on a Game Gear game, you're like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Who would have fucking known? So that's interesting. I've been trying to make my way through the Game Gear library on the train because I feel like it's underrated. Maybe we could do that as a topic because a lot of those games are like full versions of their counterpart on the Genesis, which is interesting. I've realized with The Incredible Hulk, it's like the same fucking game on Genesis, which is a really good game, by the way. You should try that one out. But that's really it, man. I don't want to dive into the next one of the series for Assassin's Creed. I do have Call of Duty I've been looking at a lot. I want to finish that trilogy, maybe. I mean, I beat the Modern Warfare 4. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Oh, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. I beat that, but I never continued the trilogy. So I'm thinking maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I'm just taking a break with all that shit. That shit takes time. And that's what people don't understand. Like, when you get into these modern games, you're there for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
So
doesn't help when you're melted in your apartment either.
Right. I've been afraid to turn the PS3 on. Even just to play the classics, because naturally, holy shit, I can't fucking talk tonight, man. What the fuck? All right, so naturally, the cell processor in the PS3, it naturally gets hot. So now, if my apartment is 90 degrees and the cell processor is 90 degrees, we're talking about fucking this thing up completely. So I've been afraid to even turn the fucking thing on. So I haven't. That's why I was playing Doom last night on the 32A. So anyway, that's it for this week's Assassin Cast for the week of July 1st, 2008. I'm Jeremy Malspina, accompanied by the one and only Dan McCarthy. And we're signing out.
Peace out, bitches.
Peace, bitches.